Feliz lunes. Hope you had a great spring break. We're going to get back into it today. We're going to just watch a video, do a quick practice, and we'll call it a Monday. Quickly going to go over the vocabulary quiz from last week. Remember, if you completed it before 7:35 today, it's good to go. You'll see it in the gradebook. If not, it'll be exempted. For the matching part, I just have them filled in here. Feel free to look them over. Pause the video if you need to. I'm not going to spend too much time on that part. For this part, there's just a couple things I want to just translate. Arnoldo always talks about things the way they are. He's very realistic. The painting was made by a famous artist. It is authentic. Selena always does the necessary thing to complete her job. She is very practical. Luis never does his homework, but today is the first time that he does it. He is surprising. The goal of Armando is to be a good technician. The musician got world fame, or la fama mundial would be the fame of the world, or world fame, worldwide fame, if you will. Among, entre in this context would mean between or among the achievements of Anna is being the best student in her class. I'm afraid, but firefighters have bravery in order to do their jobs. For this part, we have pretty straightforward thing here. Not too much going on. Pause if you want to look over it. And then you were only supposed to do 3 of the 5. If you did all 5, it just graded the first 3, but I'll just go through those really quick. She achieves the goal. Ella logra la meta. Nothing more than that. Just the present tense. We turned into veterinarians. It's the preterite tense. How many times did you turn into a veterinarian? Once. So we have nos convertimos en veterinarios. You could put nos convertimos en los veterinarios. You put the nosotros out front. That works for me too. The important part is, of course, some people didn't put the N. You need to have the N. It's basically like we convert ourselves into. The musician will appear at the concert. We have el músico or la música. El músico will appear is aparecer, and the future tense is aparecerá. You could have also used figurará, en as well, and then el concierto, the future tense. The mail carrier used to bring letters. El cartero or la cartera. Used to bring is just the imperfect tense, so the verb is traer. So the imperfect tense is traía las cartas. And then the final one, it would not surprise me. That's the conditional tense. That would is like a hypothetical. And remember, sorprender works like a gustar verb. So you're actually just going to kind of, instead of saying, just like if you said like, it would, or I wouldn't like it, you'd say no me, or no me gustaría. So no me sorprendería would literally translate to it would not surprise to me, or it would not be surprising to me, or it would not surprise me. So again, works like a verb like gustar. You're saying it would not surprise, with the no makes it negative, and that's to me. If you wanted to just, if you think of it like a gustar verb, just like you'd say a mí me gusta, you could say a mí no me sorprendería. It works the same way. So 25 points there. Next thing we're going to do, if you pull out your subjunctive folder, we are actually going to finish up our last lecture of the year in terms of no more notes. Your folder is going to be complete, and you've made it to the end. So take a moment, pull out your folder, and we're going to talk about the subjunctive a little bit more, just the E and D of weirdo. So, just like we talked about before, the Spanish language has 3 moods. We have the indicative mood, what some of you would probably consider to be like the regular mood. Remember, that's just everything that you had learned before we started the subjunctive. The imperative mood just means commands. And then subjunctive means what we've been talking about. Again, we've been practicing the present subjunctive. On your folder, we're going to fill out the E and the D of weirdo, which is emotions, and then doubts, denials, and disbeliefs. So there's a couple of expressions that I want you to copy down for emotions. There are these 7 of them. There are so many more, and I'll kind of highlight through, but just for the sake of keeping your folder neat, we'll just leave it at these 7. Gustar means to like. Preocupar means to worry. Alegrar means to make happy. Sorprender means to surprise. Sentir, in this context, it means to be sorry. That's where the word lo siento means. It means I'm sorry for it. But if you just have sentir, it means to be sorry. If it were reflexive, it means to feel. Like me siento triste means I feel sad. But siento, without the me in front of it, means I'm sorry. There's two expressions for to fear. One is like temer means literally to fear. Tener miedo de is to have fear or to be afraid, if you will. And then tener celos is to be jealous. These will all trigger the subjunctive. Emotions will trigger the subjunctive. So if we look at some examples, feel free to just follow along. Don't worry about copying these down. Just once you've copied down all those expressions, go ahead and just put your folder down just so you can see some examples. So, no te gusta que yo sea vanidoso. You don't like, or remember, gustar is kind of one of those verbs where it is not pleasing to you that I am vain. So, no te gusta que yo sea vanidoso. Preocupar works the same way. So, nos preocupa que el examen sea difícil. We're worried that the test is difficult. Or if you think about it, remember, it's a verb like gustar. So you're really saying it is pleasing to us. Or I'm sorry, it is worrying to us that the test is difficult. So again, the only thing that changes is this nos out here. Meaning, you could say me preocupa, te preocupa, le preocupa, etc., etc. The preocupa never changes. And of course, it triggers the subjunctive sea. Alegrar works the same way. It is making us happy that we have a good mechanic. Or me alegra que, I'm happy that, or it makes me happy. Again, a verb like gustar. Nos sorprende is the last verb in these top four that works like a verb like gustar, where the sorprender doesn't change. The sorprende is always sorprende, but the nos will change based on who is surprised. So nos sorprende means it is surprising to us that you know it, or we're surprised you know that. So these four verbs, gustar, preocupar, alegrar, and sorprender, work like a gustar verb, where the me, te, le, nos, os, or les changes here, but gusta never changes. Preocupa never changes. Alegra never changes. Sorprende never changes. These indirect object pronouns out front do. Other emotion verbs, the bottom four. Your friends are sorry that you are not a true friend. Oh, that's sad. Tu temes que los niños se comporten mal. You fear that the children are behaving badly or behave badly. Notice in English, we can just say you fear the children are behaving badly. You don't need the word that in English. You could say you fear that the children, but you could also just say you fear the children are behaving badly. In Spanish, though, you need the K all the time. That's one of our 3 requirements for the subjunctive. Tengo miedo de que haya tiburones. I am afraid that there are sharks in the sea. Rico is jealous that she and I are boyfriend and girlfriend, or that she and I are dating. So again, any verb of emotion triggers the subjunctive. The D in subjunctive, or in weirdo, stands for doubt, disbelief, or denial. So we have some expressions here. I think there's these 7. You're going to see the top 5 start with no, which of course, when you have doubt, denial, disbelief, it's a lot of negativity. So no creer que is to not believe that. Opinar is another verb that you'll hear a lot in Spanish, and it actually exists in English. It means to opine. Nobody ever really says it. It's just another way to say to not think. No pensar means to not think. No saber means to not know. No estar seguro means to not be sure. Negar means to deny, and dudar means to doubt. So have all these expressions copied down into your folder now, and when you're ready, if you need to pause the video to do that, go ahead and do that now. The next slide, we'll look at some examples. The English isn't written here, but it's just to not be sure. So, ellos no creen que vayan a ganar tampoco. They don't think that they are going to win either. We have no creer, triggering the subjunctive vayan. We don't think that firefighters are cowards. No opinamos que los bomberos sean cobardes. Again, we have an expression of weirdo or que, a change in subject, which triggers our subjunctive sean. Don't you think I'm your friend? No piensas que yo sea tu amigo. No sé que él vaya a venir. I don't know that he is going to come. No estoy segura de que la estatua sea auténtica. I am not sure that the statue is authentic. Niego que tengamos un examen hoy. I deny that we have a test today. Dudo que los White Sox vayan a ganar. I doubt the White Sox are going to win. Again, all this negativity, doubt, disbelief, because remember, indicative indicates truth, something that is going to happen. So conversely, anything that suggests that there's any sort of doubt or disbelief, denial, that means subjunctive. So again, if something is surely going to happen, that's indicative. But all of these expressions that you see in front of you actually will trigger the subjunctive because they are doubtful denials or disbelief. However, what happens if you take the no away from those 5 verbs? What we have here is an acronym called SCOPE. Be careful with the scope. These 5 verbs, saber, creer, opinar, pensar, and estar, if you don't have the no in front of them, they actually indicate that something is going to happen, or that indicates that something is true. So if we look at saber, like yo sé que eres responsable, you have 2 different subjects. You have a que, but because I know that you are responsible, that's an indication that you actually are responsible. So actually use the indicative eres. However, if I put a no out in front, I don't know that you are responsible. No sé que seas responsable is I don't know that you're responsible because I don't know something. That's going to trigger subjunctive. That works for all 5 of these verbs. So when they have a no in front of them, they trigger the subjunctive. When they do not have a no, they actually trigger the indicative. And that's what we're going to be finishing up the year with doing, picking between subjunctive and the indicative. Creo que eres responsable. I believe that you are responsible. Because I believe it, that is an indication that it's true, so you use the indicative because it's an indication that it's true. I don't believe that you are responsible is not an indication that you are responsible, so that uses the subjunctive, seas. Same thing with opinar, pensar. I opine that you are responsible. I don't think that you're responsible. I think that you're responsible. I don't think that you're responsible. I am sure that you are responsible is an indication that you are indeed responsible. I'm not sure that you're responsible. Not sure, subjunctive. So depending on the expression with these verbs, you can actually use indicative at times. Remember, if it's expressing certainty or like a belief, or I know it, or I think it, that is the indicative. If you are saying no to those things, then it would trigger the subjunctive. So we have a practice today that I want you to complete, submit it. It's only a page long, and we'll call it a day. Thanks so much. Welcome back.